Hello, everyone. I'm Thom Robertson, and every day throughout this coronavirus disruption, I'm going to dip into my huge bag of beef jerky variety packs and eat a new flavor. And I'll tell you how it tastes. Why? Because it's stupid and silly and funny. So today's date is March 28th. Here on a Saturday, sitting at home, in the coronavirus staycation that we all didn't want to take. How are things in Ohio? They're good. They're getting by. There's not um, the disaster here yet, but everyone's waiting for it. Um, our our online Instacart and other orders for grocery stores have extended from 1 day to 4 days, but they still work more or less. Though I hear Instacart may be going on strike next week. Because, well, lots of workers being very ill paid and very ill protected. So, you know, hard to blame them for an old bleeding heart liberal like myself. But everybody needs their groceries, and nobody wants to get infected. And that's normal. Everything's going on fine with me. Everything's doing okay. In fact, I just, don't know if you can see here, I just slapped on a heart monitor that my doctor gave me. It's going to stay on for a couple of days. It's collecting data, and then I'll put it in a box and mail it back for analysis. I assure you that I'm fine and that I'm not keeling over anytime soon, but I've had to deal with PVCs and heart irregularities for years, so this is just more work on that. But you aren't here to talk about that. You're here to listen to me talk about beef jerky, and that's what I'm going to do. I have my bag here, and like yesterday and like tomorrow, oh, can't touch my face, be careful. I'm going to pick from the bag randomly and eat some jerky. Don't you hate it when you reach into a store bought bag, but you realize your hand went through one of the loops, so then you grab something big, and when it comes back out, it's stuck in the loop? That just happened to me. Okay. Jack Link's original. I cannot believe how timid the random draw in these bags have been these last couple days, because we're just starting out. Yesterday we had teriyaki. Now we just have original. It's not going to be a challenge. It's not going to be fireworks. It's just going to be standard regular jerky. Um, but I said I was going to do it, so I'm going to do it. Got a piece of jerky here. Let's eat it and see what it's like. What can I say except that this is jerky? It's store-bought jerky too, so it's particularly unbold. There's a great Mystery Science Theater skit about Mike's own original red hot ricochet barbecue sauce, which is extra bold and not recommended for human consumption. One of my favorite skits. Um, this is not that. It's perfectly acceptable, but it's not that. Um, and I'm hoping that I can certainly get to more exciting, bold flavors in the near future, but my random bag of picking did not allow that today. However, it's good. It's salty and sweet and has a little bit of flavor to it, but again, nothing bold, nothing bad. So, I would like to talk about the replies from the last video. I got a list here, and it starts with my good friend Brian Bucklew, who wrote, "I'm pretty sure people would watch a silica eating YouTube channel, ill advised or not." And that's quite true. Fortunately, it's not going to be this one, because that's like the original bag, just not that bold. But I'm sure somebody could. Uh, Brian is a fellow video game developer. He was one of the developers on the game Caves of Cud and also the game Sproggywood. Both are excellent games, roguelikes with a tremendous amount of replayability and depth. You should check them out if you like that kind of game. Brian also wrote, "What are the top three qualities of good beef jerky?" That's a good question. I think all beef jerky is generally salty and sweet at the same time, but I could be wrong. This is, adventure for all of us, including me. And on top of that, I think that beef jerky should be neither too sloppy nor too dry. Um, and it shouldn't be, well, I was going to say too hard or too soft, but I guess the real thing is how hard is it to chew? Because I mean, there's definitely jerky out there that's shoe leather, and it's not bad, but wow, it's work just eating it. I'm not a. I would rather have a softer jerky, but that's just me. Foley 2K2 wrote, "Make some Mississippi pot roast while you're stuck inside. Good eats. Thanks for building Artemis. Stay safe." Well, thank you, Foley 2K2. I appreciate you like my video game Artemis. I've never made Mississippi pot roast. I will go look it up on the internets and see what it's like. A80 at MPH wrote cabin fever setting in. Smiley face. No, I mean not any more than anybody else is dealing with it. But I knew I had to reach out and communicate, and I think that every time I turn around, somebody's doing something very serious about communicating, and big name movie stars and big name musicians are putting lots of new content on the web free to, and so I mean the seriousness has been covered, and so if I'm going to reach out, I had the opportunity to be silly, and this beef jerky thing just came. A88 MPH is an old student of mine who's pretty awesome. Eric Kincaid, a good industry friend of mine, wrote, "Silica bag, lol. I'm curious as to what the framed poster is next to the door." So, if you look here, this is a Godzilla poster that my sister Marion made for me a few years ago. Had it framed and everything. It's got Godzilla surrounded by guns. It's classic. First movie of Godzilla. You know I like Godzilla. And then over here is one of those paintings. It's about video games. It's isometric. It's one of those things where you look at it for hours and keep finding details. I found the poster years ago in as a pack-in for the British magazine Retro Gamer, and I have a huge story about what a hassle it was to finally get my hands on that poster. But I do have it, and it's nicely framed, and so yeah, Godzilla in video games pretty much defines me. What I'm gonna say. And that's it for YouTube comments. So let's look at Facebook comments. My friend Mark Bell writes, teriyaki. I agree, Mark. Brian Bucklew again writes, liked and subscribed. Thank you. Phil Gregory, good friend, says, "Tom, don't hamstring yourself by admitting in the first 30 seconds that your blog is stupid. Give the appearance of taking the subject of beef jerky seriously. Act like it's important. I like beef jerky. So do a lot of people. Beef jerky is a multi-million-dollar industry and deserves to be respected, not marginalized." See what I just did there? Yeah, I see what you did there, Phil. Touching my face, but it's so itchy. Um, so I have to go wash my hands. Yes, Phil, I do see what you did there. I'm half tempted, but only half tempted to take your post seriously. I mean, you're right about all these facts. People do love beef jerky and is a big industry. And you know what? If I took this very seriously, I might get like lifetime beef jerky supply from some of these big corporations. Fortunately for you, I'm not angling for that, and therefore you get my total, unbiased, unvarnished opinion of the jerky I'm about to eat. Doug Reichart, good friend, says, "I have the meats," and then he shows me pictures, several pictures he has of his stockpile of beef jerky, which is quite impressive. They're all the brand Epic, and I don't know, I've never tasted Epic jerky before. It might be worth tasting. He also writes, "Teriyaki is good, but my favorite Jack Links is peppered. Looking forward to that episode." I agree, Doug. I'm looking forward to that episode too. I am not such a big fan of pepper as a general spice, but I think I've had pepper jerky before and it was just fine. It just had that kind of, that after bite of pepper. Um, Again, not my favorite necessarily, but I haven't actually tried the peppered, so who knows? Maybe that'll be my favorite Jack Link's beef jerky when we get to that episode. Um, Mark Bell replied to Doug saying you call that one right peppered is superior law. All right, you two guys have set it up. When I get to peppered, we're going to hold you to it. Jim Vaneski, good friend, writes best beef jerky video I have seen all day. I love the lowness of the bar, and I love that I cleared it. And finally, Lee Hunt, good friend, says an auspicious start. Why, thank you, Lee. Thank you, and I appreciate that. And I'll keep making these videos as long as somebody cracks a smile. Okay, so final impressions. We had the original Jack Link's beef jerky. It was about as bland as beef jerky gets. Um, and that's, all we need to say about it. Thank you for tuning in. Feel free to comment. See you next time.